Ukraine's president is pushing back on Western media reports. What's he had to say?
Well, Joe, he gave a press conference today for foreign media, and he was quite strident in his views about really trying to calm the situation down, both domestically and internationally. Now, President Zelensky has been saying, he doesn't believe that there's any imminent threat. That's something that his defence minister has been reinforcing as well. And of course, they don't want the local populace to panic, and they don't want it to have an impact on the local economy either. And he actually mentioned foreign embassies who'd sent home staff and also families, and of course Australia is one of those countries, so to the US, and he said that they'd made a mistake in doing so, that helped cause panic internally in Ukraine. So he was very critical of that, and he mentioned once again the economy, that it's not a good thing for the local economy here. He wants people to be getting on with their lives. Now, this is very different, of course, to what President Joe Biden said in a conversation with President Zelensky in the last couple of days. Something President Zelensky has also criticised in the last 24 hours. That idea that these Western nations are causing a sense that there is going to be an imminent attack on the borders here in Ukraine. So he's very keen to calm the situation down. Here's what he said at that press conference.
I think, and I've spoken about this with the President, that the politics should be balanced. I'm not saying that he has influence on the media, they're free, but the politics has to be balanced. And journalists, if they want to understand the situation, let them come to Kiev. Are tanks driving here on our streets? No. But it feels like this. If you're not here, then you feel like this.
Well, we don't believe that President Putin has made a final decision to use these forces against Ukraine. He clearly now has that capability. A move on Ukraine will accomplish the very thing Russia says it does not want. A NATO alliance strengthened and resolved on its western flank.
So, Steve, from the Russian perspective, Russia's ambassador gave a rare press conference yesterday. He was downplaying the prospect of war in Ukraine. So what is the end goal for Vladimir Putin?
And that certainly represents what Sergei Lavrov, the foreign affairs spokesperson, has said, but also President Putin as well. The end game is that they want things to change in Europe, particularly around NATO. They do not want Ukraine to ever be a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Alliance, that of course includes the US and Western European nations. They also want NATO to go back in time, back to pre-1997, when of course countries who are part of the Warsaw Pact and also former Soviet nations like the Baltic states who joined NATO, he wants them to go back to pre-97 and not allow them to have weapons or troops in those countries. So he wants to rewind the clock. But the big bugbear for him really is he wants to have a veto power and make sure that Ukraine never, ever, ever joins NATO.
So I guess the big question at this stage is, what can we expect then to happen over the coming days and weeks?
Yeah, well, that's like, how do you get inside Vladimir Putin's mind? And nobody quite knows. There is a few little pointers, though. I mean, one of the things that a lot of Russia experts I've spoken to over the last week say they don't think that he will do it in either the lead up to the Winter Olympics in Beijing, which starts on the 4th of February and goes to the 20th, or during the Olympics, because he wouldn't want to take the spotlight away from President Xi and China and the Winter Olympics, and that perhaps if he was considering invading Ukraine, that he wouldn't do it until after then. There's another factor at play here too, Joe, and that is the weather. You might be able to see a bit of sleet and a bit of snow in the background of the shot here. It's very cold in Ukraine at the moment. It's been down to -10 and the like, and it is the ideal time to attack a nation like Ukraine over their borders, because the soil's normally boggy and muddy and swampy, and if it's frozen, it's easier to get tanks over and troops over and military materiel over the borders. So if you left it too late, if things went beyond, say, March and the spring started to thaw that snow, it would be more difficult to have an invasion. So what's going to happen? Well, we simply don't know, but some of those factors are certainly at play.
Right, we'll wait and see. Steve Kinane there in Kiev, thank you.